Thank you. All right, thank you for being here today, guys, and thank you for allowing me to present my company. I'll give you a little bit of brief background, and then I'll show a quick 1-minute video that kind of highlights some of the more visual pieces that are easier to understand. A little bit about myself. I'm 22 years old. I started this company my sophomore year in a class project. It was our overall final project, and I figured if we're going to put in all this intention and time into it, why not put a little bit more time into it and invest a little bit more into the community and launch it. And so what we do is we're a creative agency that focuses on social media management, video production, photography, anything that you want to bring online we're able to do, and we're able to prove a return on investment. And so here's a quick little show reel video that highlights some of the awards we've won and some of the different industries we've worked with. So that was just a little bit of a mashup of some of our most recent projects. Funny thing is, I never went to film school. When I first started this company, we were running social media accounts, and we were grabbing some content online, and I realized that if I wanted to be a full-fledged creative agency, that I needed to create my own content, and I needed to be original. So I called my mom and I said, hey, I'm going to go buy a camera for $500, walked out of the camera store with $4,000 worth of camera equipment and invested into myself. I grabbed my team. 2 of them were actually in the class project with me, and we just really believed in ourselves and what we wanted to build. It was funny because the name was actually a joke. It was like, let's start a social media marketing company and call it Social Butterfly, and it wasn't even taken. So we registered that and hit it hard. I know I showed you guys a lot about the visual pieces in our video content, but where we see a lot of return on investment is with our social media piece. We just did a case study with a service-based business in Mankato. He was looking to expand. He's 22 years old, and he was doing roughly about $200,000 a year in tree servicing, anything from stump grinding to tree trimming. He started working with us on our $1,000 social media package. We invested out of that $1,000, $300 back into Facebook advertising, and we brought him $10,000 in bookings straight from Facebook. And what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the fact that businesses aren't investing enough money online into Facebook advertising specifically. They just did a research study that Facebook advertising is supposed to surpass TV advertising ad spend by 2020, despite the breach that just happened. And if that doesn't grab your attention, you are going to be swept under the rug, because when companies like 3M and some of the larger companies that have the budget to spend, when they start spending disproportionate amounts of advertising dollars into this, that CPM is going to raise the bar. Right now, it is low entry barrier. We're able to take $300, and obviously $10,000 in 1 month, and the first month we worked with him is a little bit skewed, but another case study we just did, another service-based business in a local area, we doubled her revenue in the first 6 months working with her. She expanded her storefront, hired a receptionist, and had time to take more time to herself while growing her business at the same time. And so what I like to tell my clients is that we're your internal marketing department from an outside perspective. And instead of paying one person on salary and have one head on it, you got 5 young guys who know what they're doing, and we grew up with Facebook in our hands by the time we came out of the womb. So what I'd like to say to you guys is, when are you guys going to join the butterfly effect?
So our big question for you is, what can our community do for you? What are hurdles and obstacles of starting your business and what are
Yep.
things that our community can do to be helpful through the Social Butterflies?
Yep. Before, when we first started working with a lot of businesses, we were saying, hey, anyone is our client. And we really realized that that's not the right answer, and that's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is people who understand that online advertising is a very big resource to their business, and that they're willing to take the time to be collaborative and open-mindedness and willing to invest online to see the return on investment.
What would you say is the type of business that's most likely to really benefit?
We've been
Who are
seeing,
their customers?
very good question. We've been seeing a lot of exponential growth in the advertising we've done with service-based companies. So anything service-related where we can book stuff online and get anyone, if they offer free quotes or anything that we can just have the service-based, we've been seeing a lot of return on investment on that piece.
How are you guys different than other media companies?
That's a good question as well. Obviously, there's going to be more and more competition as we arise. I think the thing that sets us apart is our mindset. When you invest into any marketing company, and really boil down any company, it really comes down to the people, and that's a really cliche answer. But when you win, most likely to succeed startup in 2017 by Minnesota Business Magazine. I was just nominated for 32 Under 32 by AdFed. That's happening in May to see if I'm going to be a finalist. It really boils down to the people. The fact that I'm 22, we have a team of 5, we have an office in Mankato, and we've doubled every year in revenue. I think that says a little bit about our company.
So you talk a lot about Facebook advertising, but does your company have like a menu of things that they offer, or is
Yep.
it specifically geared toward?
We do have a menu.
Facebook?
That's a good question. We do have a menu, but we like to start people out in Facebook advertising because we don't want to burn your marketing budget. We know that there's other avenues that you want to be spending money on, and we know that there's other places that you are making money off of. But we start with Facebook because that's where we see the most return on investment, and then we find out what your goals are because we want to see for the next 3 years, what are your goals? What are your goals for the next 5 years so that as we prove the return on investment, we can start to opt out on some of those other avenues once we have that money to play with.
So with Facebook ads specifically, do you make the video, the content, and then upload it to the client's website? How does that work?
Good question. It really comes down to the ad creative. Sometimes we'll do video. If the company wants to invest into a video, we'll run some advertising on it. A lot of it just comes down to different audience testing and specific measurables that we're looking for. And so a lot of time we'll specifically run 2 or 3 campaigns that are getting engagement, and then we'll come in with a different ad set with the video. And so it's really determinant on the company and what they're looking for and what the projected goal is.
Go ahead, no, if you have.
Brian, did you found the company by yourself, or did you have other co-founders with you? And can you give us more background and context on that?
Yep.
It sounded like it started while you were still in school.
Yep. So it started while I was still in school. At the time when this whole project happened, I was selling newspaper advertising for the school newspaper, straight commission, and I just bought a brand new car. Probably one of the worst and best decisions I've ever done in my life.
That's quite a school newspaper.
Yeah.
That's where I'm down there.
Yeah. Well, my mom told me, you're going to hate this newspaper job. It was straight commission, and I went from retail, so I didn't know how to really sell commission. I've done door-to-door sales in residential areas selling fiber optic cable, and I'm telling you, if you can do door-to-door sales in residential, you can take a no. And so I was selling newspaper advertising. I saw where print was going, and I saw where online advertising was going. I didn't know much about it, but I went to Mankato, and I also tell people that I went to YouTube University. There's so much resource online. The fact that I'm winning awards for film, that I never went to film school, I think says a lot about the founding of the company. But no, it started out with me. I saw that clientele that I was building relationships with, all these print media clients that I was working with, and I saw how much they were spending. They were spending $350 on a 1-page black and white ad on a college newspaper that if I posted something on Instagram, I'm already getting probably 10 times the return on ad spend that they would have got if they would have paid me that much money. And the fact that print was going like this, online was going up, I just said, hey, let's just do it. I started talking to some of my more loyal clients and saying, hey, instead of doing this, let's try something like this. I ran stuff for free for a long time. We started doing free videos until I got good enough to the point where we were able to turn down business because we were so busy until I had more people to help me out.
Do you find that with Facebook, it's business to business, business to consumer? What's the mix of that in the first place? And what's the demographic of the people most likely to buy from advertising on Facebook?
It's a good question. The first part, I think it's a very proportionate distribution between business to business and business to consumer. It depends on how creative that advertisement is. People are getting very, very creative. I saw, for example, on my timeline the other day, someone photoshopped a hair on their ad, and it looked like there was a hair on your phone, and so when you swiped up, it went to their website. Game changer. And so the more creative that you can get, and you find these different funnels to get people into your ad, obviously if it's something like that, you're probably going to get a lot of people wiping away. But if it's something that's very interesting once they go into the website, and that could be direct to consumer or business to business. For us, we run free Facebook audits, and we get people messaging us all the time because I'm going to give you enough information to know that you need improvement, but who's the one that's giving you the information of what we can do better, and here's our price, and here's how we can help you, and here's everyone around us that we've helped. And so that's the business to business side that we've seen on our personal end. The people that are most likely to buy, again, it really comes down to the creative, but people are always saying, well, my target audience is, let's say, 50 and above. People misconceive that because if you look at a 14-year-old scrolling on Facebook, it's almost like they're on a treadmill. Their thumb is just going through that timeline. 50 or the older generation is actually going a lot slower, and they are on Facebook, but they're going a lot slower, so they actually have a higher retention rate to what's on the timeline, and they're reading a lot more of what's going on. So we see a lot of people that have that older demographic where we're getting a lot of return on investment on that piece.
When you think about all the opportunities for online or direct or anything like that, so you've got Google AdWords, you've got the Facebook advertising, there's direct mail through, whether it's Constant Contact or MailChimp or pick one. You talk a lot about Facebook, but if you were going to equal play the amount of dollars across all of those, is Facebook where you would put the most dollars, or
Yes.
would you put it in Google AdWords as people search for specifically what you offer?
That's a good question. Google AdWords, you need a lot of money to be able to see a lot of engagement. And so we work really closely with personal Google ad reps directly from Google, and they recommend that at least $1,800 to $2,000 a month on a 3-month commitment is the bare minimum necessary means to get by. That's $6,000 to get in. Facebook, if I'm offering you $1,000 for our package is $1,000, the minimum to see anything, and that split is $700 management, $300 advertising spending that we're taking out of that original $1,000 that you gave us, and we're able to prove over $1,000 on that. That's the lowest cost entry. So if I have a bigger budget to work with, we'd probably do 2/3 Facebook and experience some other different pieces. Now, it also depends on your market. If I'm a personal trainer in LA, that is a very competitive, you have to outbid the bigger trainers. Or if you're doing clothes manufacturing in Minneapolis, that's going to be a higher bid too. But the thing is, what I really want people to understand is that Facebook is not at the Google level yet. It's where everyone's at, and no one's spending the disproportionate amount of money to advertise into it to get the results that they're looking for. And the minute that it happens, it's going to be higher CPM, and you're going to have to spend that $2,000 per month to see anything. And so the fact is, it's just a low-cost barrier entry right now.
So you mentioned a $1,000 starting point as an entry-level package.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a one-time package, or is that a recurring monthly fee?
So it's a 6-month commitment, but with that, we have a 3-month review where we show what's happening. And what's different about our company is that we're all-inclusive when you sign up for our social media. Most creative agencies, they're charging you for the design work. They're maybe only running ads. We post a whole content calendar. So when I say that, we're thinking a month in advance with your company. We're sitting down with you either 2 or 3 times a month to really become your marketing department. We find out what are your objectives, what are your goals, and we create custom content. We're creating graphics, we're creating different ad sets, and so you're having a constant timeline of someone managing your Facebook and ads on the back end that are getting the return objectives on it. So,
And generally speaking, with regards to that type of package, what are some of the core KPIs that businesses are looking for, or that you would recommend a business to go with? Like, are you looking for pure revenue? Are you looking for followers in the different social media categories? Like, what would be some of the things that you would focus on?
Right. Obviously, again, it's really dependent on the company. But for service-based companies, a lot of them want to see a lot of messages coming in. And so for some of our clients, they wake up in the morning and they're just responding to the people in the messages to book the different appointments and to answer the questions that people are asking. How we start out, a lot of our KPIs is building that audience pool, because Facebook went through a huge algorithm change in January where all of you guys, and myself including, we don't go on Facebook to look at advertisements. We don't look for different deals. We look to see what our friends and family are doing. And so Facebook did a big algorithm change where if you're a business page, as you set up a business page and you're not a personal page, you're automatically getting deranked in the algorithm. And so before, you were able to post at a certain time, and you're going to see about 30 to 40% of your general audience that are going to see your post organic or for free without paid advertising. That dropped down to 10%. So now it's a really pay-to-play game in the advertising field. And so what we like to do is we run a lot of engagement campaigns to build that pool, so that 10% becomes a lot more relevant than 10 people or 20 people or whatever that 10% is. And so we build it up, build that organic piece so that every time we're not paying people to see it, we build it up and then grab organically and then pay on the outside.
Is the scalability of your company dependent on human resource? Then your company wants to grow, your human resource must grow. Is that the issue? And what are your growth plans? What's your 5-year vision for your company? And are these employees that you have? Are they independent contractors? Both?
Yep. So we just switched over from the independent contractors to employees. It was a big moment for us to be able to put people on salary and to have part-time people as well. Yes, it is determinant on the human resource piece, because I can't grab anyone off the street and put them on a manufacturing plant and just start doing the manufacturing sense of it. I need creative people, I need go-getters. The cool part is that we created a cool essence in Mankato, and so we're the new age marketing company, and a lot of people are actually coming to us. We see about, on average, 5 to 7 people emailing us trying to work with us. And we're going through the interview process, and a lot of them are young kids. We had a kid that hasn't even graduated high school. He's going to the thrift store, buying books for $1 a piece, putting it on Amazon for $5 a piece as a side hustle. He went and got a Google AdWords certificate and gave me prospect links of who he wanted to target and told me what I could do to improve my business. And this kid's 17 years old. And so that just goes to show, everyone talks so down on the millennials, but one, it makes me look better because I'm not lazy and I'm not narcissistic, but it also talks about, the millennials they're all talking about they're on their phone, but they're talking to people across the world. I've connected with so many people that I've met out in LA that I've done different projects with. I got a contract over Super Bowl weekend on Twitter because someone that I partly own a clothing line with said, send me some of your work. I'm talking to the guy. Does anyone know who Gary Vaynerchuk is in here, or Gary V? Come on, you guys got to look him up. Yes. You do? Okay. You've probably seen him on Facebook talking about hard work and motivation. He's usually wearing a beanie. He took his dad's wine business from $3 million to $60 million because the Google AdWords, he bought every word related to wine for pennies, maybe 5 cents at most. Now they're $8 or $9, and he's mad because he didn't spend enough when it was a low-cost barrier entry. Now he's got a media company called VaynerMedia and a sports agency called Vayner Sports. So over Super Bowl weekend, one of his guys tweeted out on Twitter saying, where are my Minneapolis videographers and photographers at? My buddy sent him some of my work. I was working with 7 NFL players over Super Bowl weekend and sitting in a room with this guy who was a multi-million-dollar, he was one of the sole investors into Uber, Twitter, and some of the other larger companies. And he's got 5 #1 best-selling books in New York's best-selling. So to be able to get that off of the internet, and people are talking about, well, everyone's on their phone, they're making moves. They're doing stuff across the nation. They're loosening the friction. And that's what I like to tell people too, is that there's so many barriers online that the second that you start to break those down, substantial things start to happen, and that's where innovation happens.
So so you talked a little bit about like building your team, but what obstacles do you face as a business? I mean, is it tough to get people? Is it tough to get your own message out there? I mean, what are the obstacles that you face to grow your business, to take it to wherever you're at today to 10, 20, 50 million in revenue?
Yeah. Right now, we focused on, we did a restructure in our process to be a little bit more efficient so we could take on more clients. Our 5-year goal is to have, we have an office in Mankato, but we're trying to hit the Southern Triangle. And so we're working a lot in Rochester, we're working a lot up in the Twin Cities. A lot of obstacles we see is that people are just so stuck in the traditional way of marketing, and once they open up their mind and you do a little bit of testing, you start to see it. This guy who's 22, he was a little bit reluctant to spend $1,000 in Facebook advertising. But when he got $10,000 in Facebook bookings alone, and he cashed those checks, these are not projections or anything, this is $10,000 in his bank account because of Facebook advertising. He came back and said, what's the next package? How many videos can we do and when can we start? And that's just because we're able to open up your mind and we're able to do some of this stuff at a low cost barrier entry. You don't need a $10,000 retainer to do something significant anymore until these bigger companies, like I'm telling you, start to spend that disproportionate amount and they take all the low guys out of the game. And so I think we have something good here. We do video production in-house, which is not a lot of creative agencies do. They do a lot of subcontracting. We do it in-house. I hired another filmer who's done a lot of our videos. How our strategy works is we tend to, as we're entering a new market, what we've seen that's worked the best is we'll partner with a nonprofit, and we'll usually do an in-kind donation or a discounted nonprofit donation, work with some of the sponsors, network, film it, and then have the media sponsorship, and then in turn we'll see about 4 to 5 different projects out of each one, and then kind of spiderweb through the community, and that's how we're breaking out in Rochester right now.
What are you doing to keep from getting stuck? For instance, technology changes so fast, so you're referring to people that are stuck and they got to open their minds. Okay, what are you going to do in your company to attain this vision to keep, that keeps you from getting stuck yourselves? It's got to be Facebook, got to be Facebook, got to be Facebook. What's next in line?
Right here. We have a bi-weekly meeting on every person in our company, the 5 people that we have internally. We teach you something new that's happening. We turn on all the post notifications for some of the big tech insiders, and we're looking at what's moving and what's new. Something that's just happened that's significant. Has anyone here heard of Twitch? Twitch TV. Online gaming is getting more streams every single day than CNN. That's a market that no one's tapped into. Drake, he's a rapper, he's on the Billboard, one of the top hip-hop artists right now. He went and did a live stream with one of the top online gamers, broke the internet. 600,000 streamers within 24 minutes happened like that. Tell me a time that happened unless something political happened on the TV, that you're turning on your TV like that and you're streaming in. And so when you're talking about getting stuck, I'm looking at what the 14 and 15-year-olds are doing because they're going to have the next biggest purchasing power after me. And so I'm always looking at what the younger generation is. Has anyone heard of Musical.ly? It's an app that you have different songs on, and they have a library of songs. And basically what this app is you're lip syncing, and you make creative videos lip syncing. Hottest app right now for 12 to 14-year-olds. No one started advertising on it yet. The resource is right from your phone. If I'm in the car and someone's driving my car and I'm just sitting in the passenger seat, I'm constantly learning. I'm looking what other people are doing. I'm finding out what everyone else is doing in that market in the advertising field. But the most important thing that I'm focused on is what are people not doing? People are so fed up on trying to create, but they have to spin it back, build from the bottom, and just document what you're doing. People want to see the behind the scenes. People want to see people's faces and what it looks like. People want to know what it's like to run a creative agency. You just got to document it. It doesn't have to be super fancy. If you have the capability to make it fancy, obviously it's a little bit better, but you just have to document because we're at a time where it's so abundant. Anyone can go and buy a mirrorless camera for under $4,000 and learn on YouTube to do exactly what I'm doing. But you got to have the team and the motivation and the innovation to be able to bring that to businesses. Right now, every probably anyone from 16 to 25 years old wants to be a travel videographer. They want to travel the world with their camera, and they want to make travel videos and work with different resorts and different hotels, because there's a couple of people that are influencers that have 4 to 5 million followers on Instagram, and they're having hotels fly them out, do a travel video, post it on Instagram, and they're making millions of dollars. Everyone wants to do that, but no one's doing it with businesses. That's where we come in.
Can you introduce your colleague?
Yeah, this is Jake. He was in the class with me, and he's kind of our content guru. So he's working really heavily on the Facebook advertising piece and getting that cost per click down and analyzing that. When we did the restructuring, he said he wanted to be more behind the scenes because he's a king at working on those Facebook ads and learning what the different analytics mean and what that CPM is and the different strategies.
I know you presented 1 Million Cup St. Paul. Have you applied or presented to Winona, Rochester, or any of those in your southern triangle?
Yeah, we've applied to Rochester. We haven't done Winona yet. I've been kind of reluctant to do them so quick after one another because we've been growing so fast.
That 1 Million Cups insider tip, it's good just to not go apply to a bunch, because
Right.
we've had some really cool companies.
Right.
And we get a lot of thumbs down votes from our community organizers, because it feels like they've just spammed everyone.
Right.
So, but just
Right.
a heads up.
Yeah. So we've been doing about one every 2 months. I love this space. I think 1 Million Cups is a great opportunity. I'm also partly involved with a different company that we just presented at 1 Million Cups in Rochester. It wasn't for Social Butterfly, but basically what it is, it's meeting the mindset. And so what we're doing is we're bringing in people like Gary Vaynerchuk and Theo Vaughn, and we're bringing in people to come to the Midwest and throw events, because everyone's going to Chicago, everyone's going to the East Coast, everyone's going to the West Coast, but no one's really coming down to Rochester and these growing communities. And people ask me, why did you stay in Mankato? I don't have any family there. I went to school there for 4 years, and I stayed there because I saw the growth potential. And instead of going to already established markets, why not be in the cutting edge of a growing market and be there to stay? So, I'd like to show you guys one quick video. It's 45 seconds. It's one of my favorite videos that we did for Crystal Valley Co-op. And it's an interesting piece because they're a little bit open-minded. And in the agriculture industry, there's not a lot of people doing high-level production videos. Oh, I gotta reconnect here. Is there a way to get the projector back? I'll try this one.
Yeah, I don't, you know what, maybe it timed out here. Maybe, hopefully it doesn't take too long, maybe it just was taking a nap.
What's the password for the Green Acres?
There is no password.
We'll just do a guest one.
Yeah, there's a guest Wi-Fi. Oh, that's why, because it's trying to hook into an Xfinity. Yeah, it looks like the projector's on.
Let's see if the internet wants to work. Hopefully it'll be strong enough to play this video.
Get a tour of your place.
Oh, and then,
No, can I get a tour?
perfect timing. The projector came up and your video's up.
Awesome. So it's a quick 1-minute video, but the agriculture industry, not a lot of people are doing high production videos. And what I've learned is that all these bigger companies are merging with each other, and it's happened in other areas, and the Midwest is kind of the trailer of this happening. But they're all merging with each other because some of the smaller ones are getting swept under the rug. And so Crystal Valley Co-op, $35 million company, and they're looking to double or triple their employee staff in the next year. And they came to me saying, what should we do? And I said, we should do videos, because when you do a job posting description, it's a lot harder to get someone to jump into a $500,000 equipment and a 800-character paragraph. But if we can do a video of a day in the life of what it looks like to be that person who's driving this $500,000 tractor and what it would look like, and you run a Facebook ad on that and said, do you want to do this? you're going to get a lot more applications in that sense. And so this was the first of a series. This is the overall one that kind of talks a little bit about what it looks like to work with Crystal Valley. So this one is kind of saying whether you like technology, whether you want to be in the grain or the feed, we have a spot for you. And then we're going to jump into the specific job posting videos. We just completed this one last week. So.
Awesome. We have about time for one more question. Anybody have a final question? Sounds good. Well, let's give Brandon and Jake a round of applause.